Hey everyone, and welcome to Book Review Bites, the podcast where your friendly neighborhood Earlville Library District librarians review a book that we've chosen ourselves just a few chapters at a time. Because Book Review Bites. Today we're reading The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Haig? I don't know how to say it.
I say it, Haig.
This book.
Yep.
We're reading this book and we are partway through it, and we're going to tell you what we think about it so far. Very specifically, we're reading pages 1 through 82 because the chapters aren't numbered, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
We're doing it this way so that you have a chance to come and grab the book and read along with us. So you'll know our initial thoughts of just the beginning, and we won't spoil anything past that. So you can grab it, read along, and see if you agree, and then catch up with us for the next podcasts. There will be 4 parts, and this is number 1. Yep. This podcast is for adults, though we will always keep our content family friendly as far as our opinions and the language we use. We can't guarantee that the content in every book we read is suitable for all audiences, so please use your own discretion. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions about what we have said about this book if you've read it in the comments below. Feel free to interact like it's a book club and share your thoughts and let us know. Like and subscribe to let us know you like this video and want to see more of them. And lastly, all of the following opinions are our own. So, what did we think?
Here we go.
I guess the first one that you've already kind of mentioned, that they're not labeled as like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. They all have these different, like they're titled.
Like
a heading.
Headings, like a heading. And at first I thought that was like really cool, kind of different, almost like a journal-esque type of book. And I was like, I like journal-esque type of books. And then I tried reading it with the audio going.
Oh.
Just to kind of help me, because I read normally later at night. So to kind of help me, one, stay awake. But then, I don't know, it's more entertaining to kind of like read along with it.
Sure.
And then I can't find it. I have to go through all these titles to figure out, even though it says chapter 18, I don't know what chapter I'm on because it doesn't tell me the number.
Nice.
So that's the conundrum I've been having.
I didn't think about that. If you're reading it on audio, it would be hard to find your place.
Are you reading on Access 360?
Yes, I am.
It doesn't save? Because it saves for me.
I do bookmark every single time I get off the app just in case like it messes up and decides not to do that for me. So I was like, oh, save, bookmark, bookmark,
I do that
bookmark. But I just didn't know. I was like, you know what? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I always bookmark
It's hard.
just in case.
It is hard with this book. It's
also so like there's like I definitely had that problem too. I wanted them to be numbered. I just wanted them to be also numbered. The titles and whatever could be the same. I just wanted them to have numbers. Yeah. And then like fine, whatever, I can get past that. It's like real depressing.
right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right
it's
from the
literally
start.
like the first sentence.
Yeah.
Was like 9 hours before Nora wanted to die. And I was like,
whoa.
And
I was like, oh no. And then it just kept counting down. And at first I thought the whole book was going to be her in the process of committing suicide.
Yeah.
But like she ends up doing that right quick.
Yeah. 19 years before she decided to die. So it starts there.
And we learn about...
And then 19 years later...
Where then it's the 9 hours.
Where we are currently, you know.
My first sentence is, well, this is going to be just a ray of sunshine. Rough. They talk about how she might have a dead family, which they end up telling you she does. But I was like, and then the cat dies.
Yep.
And then I'm like, okay, so she's really going to commit suicide. Like, holy cow. And then we find out she, like, left her fiance at the altar.
Mm-hmm. We did find that out, yeah.
That's rough.
Damn.
Because her mom had just passed away.
Yeah.
She was going... It does touch a lot on mental health.
Yeah.
And what she's going through all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel for this girl. Like she's gone through so much. She's lost family members. Yeah. She just lost the cat.
Voltaire.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's going through so much. But I will say this, is that when because you see the note, like her goodbye note, I felt like it didn't match the tone to who she is.
Well, maybe that was like, I'm not like making excuses or anything, but maybe like that's purposeful. Her actions and how she lived her life didn't match how she felt.
Right.
So maybe that came out in her letter.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that suffer from depression put on a front.
Yeah.
You know, like they have to hide being
Who they are.
depressed
Yeah.
so nobody will see it.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
being
and
different, you know, is
Yeah.
typical. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Maybe
I
not
guess,
typical, but
like, I understand, like, she was probably trying to put up this front. But even the way it was, like, written didn't seem like her.
no.
I don't know how to explain it. Like, she probably was trying to put on that front.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I was fine, I'm perfectly fine. Even though she was no longer around when somebody found the note. But I guess just the way, I felt it was, like, separate. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a note from Nora, it was like a note from the author. I don't know. I just felt
Oh.
weird, like, reading it. Just didn't seem to mesh.
I
Yeah.
didn't have that impression. I was fine with the note. It didn't make me feel weird. It made me feel bad for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like she was very alone, even though, like, well, because her boss was kind of a jerk.
Yes.
Because I get that, like, you know, you have to expect certain things from your employees, and if your employees aren't coming through, then, like, you have to make some decisions. But, like,
Right.
she clearly had some stuff going on that she needed to deal with.
Yeah.
And it was just an unfortunate situation. Like, he needs an
Yeah.
employee that's going to work. And the way he phrased it was not nice. He told her, like, something like she was bringing down the environment of the workplace.
Yeah, and that
or
was
whatever.
not.
And, like, that's not going to help anybody.
No.
You can just set specific goals and be like, this is what I need, and you're not giving it to me. So how do we fix this?
Right.
Not like you're really a downer. 'Cause, like, she already knows that.
Well, because
Right.
first he led off with, well, we need somebody that's dependable here on time type
Which
of
is
situation.
fair.
Yeah.
Which is a fair situation. And then he brought up, like, well, you're kind of bringing down everybody. And I'm like, that was not needed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was not helpful, and especially because he knew that she had mental health issues,
Right.
Yeah.
and like was just like, yeah, you're just a Johnny Raincloud or whatever.
Johnny Rain.
How do you say that?
7 Days of Rain. I've heard that before.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
That
know.
is, that is a common one to hear.
Johnny Thundercloud, isn't that it?
Never heard that.
It's something.
Anyway, she was a Debbie Downer,
Debbie Downer. We all know that one.
Yes.
and I just felt like that was unfortunate that she like is just sort of accidentally stepping into all these really unfortunate
Situations that
Yeah.
led her
the
to
cat
this.
that dies, and then losing her job, and like her parents, obviously really, really tragic.
That's awful. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, crazy. And like her fiance, and like her not being able to go through with it, like understandable.
It sounded like he was also not very
Supportive.
supportive
Yeah.
I
of
agree with her.
the band that she was in
Oh right,
and the
and she left the band.
yeah, just
I felt-
and she was supposed to. Oh, I might be getting this mixed up. She was supposed to move to Australia,
Yeah, with her friend.
Yeah.
To save the whales or go on whales cruises or something.
Yeah.
be a whale
Something.
watcher
Yeah.
teacher.
Something.
Well, instructor.
something with the
you.
whales.
Yeah,
There were whales.
yeah.
Australia.
But she didn't do that either.
Yeah, and she just had, well, like we find out later, just had this big book of regrets.
Yeah,
And it was just like monumental, like building and building. And I did feel really bad for her, but I also didn't want to feel bad for her. Like, I don't want to read books that make me hurt for like the main characters. So I was like, my husband was having surgery, and I'm in the room waiting for him to come back, reading this book,
yes.
going like, oh, this isn't very happy.
No.
I was like turning each page hoping something was going to change for her and set her like on a good path.
Yeah.
And even when she gets to the Midnight Library, it's like just, I mean, I feel lessons brewing
Yeah.
and the potential for like a happy ending, or at least like less drama, or
Like
Even
a
if she
silver
go-
lining.
Even
A
if
silver
she
lining
went
that
back
had.
to like the same life that she had, that would be,
yeah.
I guess that would be kind of a lesson too, but
To
it's
be
got to
honest.
pick up somewhere.
Yeah, I will say.
Because holy cow.
I'm gonna call it now. Just gonna
All
call it
right.
now.
All right.
First, what is it? Theory, I guess is the best word to put it. Is that she is gonna go back to her normal life, because all these other lives that she is now using or seeing and doing in
Three
the Midnight
lives?
Library.
Have
that
we
we know
experienced
about?
3 lives?
Only 3
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
I think she is gonna go back to her normal life, and maybe back to a point in time where she can redo all those mistakes. It's going to start with Dan. Because, when her parents died. Because all of this has transpired since then because she had such a close relationship with her dad about the glaciers.
Oh yeah, the glacier.
Glaciologist.
Yeah, whatever, however they say it on the Access 360 app.
It's actually very,
Glaciologist.
very nice, and they have like
Are they British?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It started with that, but then she started to change her outlook on life, and that's when she started getting into music.
Right.
And not even before she was in her band with her brother. But then that situation happened with the band because that's when she met Dan, and then Dan changed, and it just is this whole like world. And I'm just literally envisioning. She's not gonna be happy in any of these lives.
Yeah.
She's not.
I think at the end of it, I wrote something like, "Is the real lesson that no life is perfect?"
Oh my God! I wrote the same thing. Almost the same thing. I will never be able to find it now, but I said something. Oh. Nothing, no life is going to be perfect. So how's she going to get past,
Well, I think perhaps she's reaching towards that realization because she does get to watch one of her regrets disintegrate.
Yeah.
Because she realizes that, like, maybe in fact not marrying Dan was a good choice.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think the one that disappears is her thinking she was a bad cat owner.
Yes.
Which, like, that was annoying for me to read because I have the exact same situation happened with me and my poor little bunny.
Yeah.
And he passed away because he had, like, you know, a heart condition he was born with that nobody knew about. And then all of a sudden, this young, happy bunny is no longer, you know, doing so well.
Happy bunny.
And then he's gone, and we had no way to know that he was going to have a short life.
Yeah.
And had we not taken him to the vet, we never would have known that. So I'm glad we did. But, like, that's, you know, it was too close to home. And I was, like, really sad.
I agree with you on that.
Did she know that the cat had this,
No.
I wrote, restrictive cardiomyopathy?
That Mrs. M told her about.
Yes.
No, she only knows because Mrs. Elm told her.
Right, that's what I thought. So, like, you can't be a bad... I mean, I guess I can understand where you would think that you're a bad person because you didn't know, or a bad cat owner.
But I think Mrs. Elm's point at that, like, when she was like, I want to be a better cat owner, and put her right back into that situation.
Oh,
right?
I was so mad.
I was so mad, too. And I was like, I see what she was doing here. One, Mrs. Elm was being, like, not persnickety, but funny. And she's like, well, you didn't say this.
Yeah.
You said this.
That got me a little...
And I was like, I'm like, wasn't needed, but I can see, like, a little bit of that sense of humor that she was trying to have with her, like, yes, you didn't say this, and this is where I put you, but this was always going to be the outcome.
Yeah, I think she really did learn a valuable lesson there,
Yeah.
and I hope that it affects, like, how she views these maybe other lives she chooses moving forward.
Yeah.
And that, if nothing else, she can relinquish that one regret. I kind of wondered if that gray book of regrets is going to get smaller as we go through the book, if she's going to be able to erase more regrets and see... Oh, she had a really good line in there about, like, something about regrets. They shouldn't be seen as mistakes.
They should be seen as opportunities or
something like that. And that was...
I liked that one.
I felt like that was just poignant for, like, anyone.
Yeah.
That's a good way to think about when you're in life and you make a choice and it doesn't work out the way you think it would. There is, like, a domino effect there.
Yeah.
And, like, you don't know what that lesson taught you that opened up new opportunities or new doors or, you know, benefited you even though it looks like a failure or a traumatic event or something. I thought that was nice. I get it, but I don't want to read it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's real.
Yeah.
Because people always say, well, if I could go back in time or if I could have changed that.
Yeah.
There's no way to ever do that because we never know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
And you will beat yourself up always
Endlessly,
thinking about, like, if I had only done this different, or, like, she did.
People do
like
that
Nora.
a lot in trauma. When they have trauma.
And
they go, if I
100%.
was there, if I, you know, if I didn't let the cat outside, she went back to having the inside cat.
Because it's interesting, that particular event, I didn't think was her fault, even if the cat did get run over.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, how is that her fault? Like, she just let the cat go outside to go outside. She didn't run it over or tell it to go in the road.
Right.
No, and I think it was mentioned, maybe I read it wrong or I I don't know. But it was like, it sounded like he accidentally got let out. Like when she was talking to the neighbor about the medicine and how he was like, oh, you don't have to bring me my medicine anymore. Because the neighbor, I thought
I
Miss
forgot
Elm
about
said
him.
something.
Did he slip out?
She had slipped out.
But because
Okay.
later she talks about, the life that she would pick where he was an inside cat.
Right.
So I thought maybe he had a habit of like being let out.
He probably just slipped
Maybe.
out
I see.
by chance, maybe, but.
But at least that's how I almost read it as. But I haven't reread that part.
I am not rereading this. part.
Um,
Sorry,
not-
guys.
I feel
no, about the information about like, did he slip
Yeah.
out
Oh
or
yeah.
was he just an
I
outside
don't
cat?
particularly remember.
Yeah.
Either way, I was like, you're really beating yourself up over this thing that I don't think you could control.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a snowball effect, I think.
I get
Even
it.
the littlest of things are like huge
Sending her
things.
down.
Compared to like it really was like just mounting, like
Yeah.
one thing after another. It's
Yeah.
just like another low blow, and
Well, and how I looked at it too was like she just had the really bad end of the stick.
I guess like what I'll say next is that I was really bummed throughout like the whole beginning.
Yes.
Several chapters go by and it's just like this is not going well.
Yeah.
And then I started to go, well, because I mean I know what the premise of the book is, and I thought it was going to be more science fiction, like starting off because it talked about her like swapping lives and everything. And so then I was like, oh, is she actually going to die? And then the rest of the book is just going to be us like her watching her life after she's gone.
Oh.
I'm like, that's going to be real depressing.
Yeah.
But when she got to the Midnight Library, we had talked just a little bit before, I don't remember, it was like Tuesday or something, that when she got to the Midnight Library and opened the first life,
Yeah.
I felt like for me, the book picked up a little bit.
Yes.
And though it wasn't like a happy time she had in that life with her ex or whatever, I felt like, oh,
It's a change of pace.
It was different.
It was a
Change
change
of
of pace.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm not so bummed anymore. I mean, it's not happy things. But
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, now we're in the Midnight Library.
Yeah.
And we're like picking the lives. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think that's what I do like about this book is that it's given her the opportunity to live all these so-called regrets that she hasn't pursued like, in a rock band or going to Australia or, living in the countryside with Dan, owning a
The pub. Yeah.
Did anybody else see that coming? I sort of predicted when she chose that it wasn't going to end well. That
Oh, yeah, hands down.
I think I knew that too.
I was like,
Just-
well, this ain't going to be the life.
Well,
Yeah.
because, I mean, typically they don't, end the book after 3 chapters. So,
Sure.
you
I
had to
guess
figure,
there's that.
we'll start with that. It's probably not going to go good. And
Well, it's
we'll
like the
keep
last
going
book
there.
where it was the same day for like the whole book.
Oh, yeah, like 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
3 days. Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of thought the next one was going to go well.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, she's had one bad one. Maybe
It'll be a
she'll have a
great
good one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think she learned. It was interesting that she came out and like Mrs. Elm was like something like, "Do you feel better?" She didn't say that,
Oh.
but like Nora ends up saying like, "Oh," she said like, "What do you want to do now?" or something, and Nora's like, "Well, I still want to die."
Yes.
And she goes on this rant about how like everything is awful, she's awful, no one likes her, no one needs her, blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah.
And then Mrs. Elm's like, "Open another book."
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was interesting that she had just experienced, because like me as a person who wasn't in her shoes, I was like, oh, she should be relieved that she didn't actually pursue that relationship with Dan and end up miserable with
Yeah.
him.
Right.
But she didn't. She saw that as like, oh, this wouldn't have gone well either.
Yeah.
She's
None
just
of my
looking at
stories
it
wallows.
as she's
Yeah.
swallowing in this, like, oh my gosh, so this life wasn't right, this life isn't right, all my other lives must not be right then. Why am I still in this predicament? Which I did appreciate. Mrs. Elm just like, oh, open up another friggin' book. Like,
Yeah.
just do
I don't
this.
like that she said open up the regrets book again. Like, do you want to open up?
Yeah, she's like threatening her.
yeah.
She's going to try the Book of Regrets again.
I mean,
Like she's like a little kid.
why would we start with the Book of Regrets? I feel like if I was at this Midnight Library, in between, I guess we learn you're like in between lives, and you're at this place after you tried to commit suicide. Why would you want to look at all the regrets in your life? Should
Well,
be
I
like a
think,
happy
like-
time,
Nora's like so stuck in depression
I know.
that she
Yeah.
needs someone that's a little bit tough probably to pull her out of it. Because, like, no amount of, it's okay, you couldn't have done anything, you did a great job, is going to help her now because she's too far gone, I feel like.
Yeah,
so she needs someone who's a little bit pushy.
I also looked at it, too, like, she knew Mrs. Elm as a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Elm probably still sees her as this young kid who lost her parents.
Yeah, trying to help her.
Trying to help her through this process. Even with it, if it's just like a jab, like, do we need to open the book of regrets again to go through this process again?
I thought of Mrs. Elm as just a facade. Like, there's some other entity in there, the great all-knowing Midnight Library entity, who's just wearing Mrs. Elm's face to make Nora feel good.
Yeah, I feel like
thought of that
it's some type of a ghostish type of deal.
But just the way how she interacts with her, like you said, like, yeah, it does come off a little harsh, which she needs at this point because of going down this, you know, downward spiral. But I also looked at it like, I've known, I don't know, so many people like, oh, you know, I'm so down or whatever. And they're just like, really, Nina? Like, kick you, like, get on. Like, let's get onto this side.
I think it depends on the person, whether what you need is that kind of cushiony, warm support, or if you need, you know, to be kind of bounced in the right direction. I think everyone's different, and like every situation demands a different response. So I don't think what is happening to Nora is necessarily right for everybody.
Yeah.
But like, I just kind of felt like at this point, she's not going to bring herself out of this.
Right.
They talk about how big this place is and how
huge.
like the bookshelves, they just go and the ceiling never, or there is no ceiling. It's just wall, and the floor like went away or disappeared at one time.
Yes. Like during the chessboard scene or whatever.
Yeah. Are there other people floating around in this place?
I think it's her library. It's her. Everybody. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
got the
That's
impression
how I viewed it
that
as
everybody
too,
had their own infinite library. And I wondered if everyone had a different color because her books are green.
Right.
And I was like, would my books be purple?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I don't know. See, I'm not a science fiction-y, you know, fake worlds, because in my head I'm going, well, if this is an infinity. Or an infinite library, that's huge. That's forever and never stops. And everybody has one of these? Like, this is a
Where are you going to put that?
This is a pretty big world, you know?
Where are
Like,
these said libraries?
Yeah, there's a lot of space out there, I know, but I don't know. Just a little side note.
It also
that's a good-
exists. Sorry, I just got a text message. It also exists 100% on midnight.
Yeah.
Yes.
No time passes.
It's just
while
one
you're
stagnant
in
place.
the Midnight Library.
While you're in the Midnight Library. But then I thought she said it can only be midnight when you come back. If you're so... How does she come back to the library? If she's so unhappy or something?
she just acknowledges that she's unhappy and then poof.
And then
She's back.
I also don't like that either, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep trying.
See, those are the parts where I'm like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah, no, I'm like, no, this does not make sense.
Oh, and while you were gone, Nina said, brought up that like we all noticed that she was very concerned about Nora in the mirror, like past Nora.
Yeah.
When she got back, she's like, well, what's Nora gonna think when she looks in the mirror? And she's like, how did I get in the bathroom? And then we were like, because then, you know, Mrs. Elm goes on to say, like, well, have you ever walked into a room and forgot why you went in there? And I was like, oh my god! I do that all the time!
How many times have I
I
died?
didn't put that together.
Yeah, and I just
oh my
keep
god,
closing
we'd be
this-
dying all the time.
Why do I keep opening this book then?
Yeah.
Put this one on the shelf. Let me live my life.
Yeah. Oh man.
But
That's
I think
too
it's,
real. Yeah.
Yeah.
One, there's like a real sense to it, but I also like the somewhat science fiction-y of it, like you said. Like, would my books be, purple? Would mine be green? Would yours be pink? Like, you know, what does it look like? I guess I'm more of I think of like a mix of like the Bell Library, but like long, not circular, you know?
Oh yeah, just like a never-ending hallway.
Just a never-ending hallway of books. But then there's that front desk randomly that she goes to at one point.
And sits in the chair.
And sits in a chair.
Where'd the chair
I see,
come
like,
from?
in my head, I picture them as, like, lots of stacks of books, like our stacks, but, like, that extends so high to the ceiling that it's, like, foggy, so you can't see the tops. And then also the ends. The stacks, the rows are so long that the ends are foggy, you can't see. And I see it as very bright and light, like a library is well illuminated.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the picture in my head. So then I picture like a break in the infinity with a disc.
Just a random desk here.
My desk was in the middle. The chair was in the middle. And the room, I don't even know what to call it, the space is just spinning around her with like books all over the place. They're not even on shelves. They're just...
Well, because she said I think that there were glass
floated.
shelves.
Yeah.
They floated.
So you probably
too,
can't see the shelves.
Right. And they're like floating.
And they were really thin, I think she said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she said they were thin, and you didn't know how the books would
Yeah.
withstand the weight. I guess I always thought of them as like straight rows, like you said, like straight rows. But I almost like put in like an element of like the Matrix on it because she said she would float it from one space to another
Yeah.
and was
right.
instantly there.
It's just like
so I thought of those like, you know, ghosts in Harry Potter. They're just like, and then they're over
Yeah.
there. And I'm like, this is really cool. And it is. I love it. And I love how the more magical-esque of it, like,
Yeah.
they're floating, then there's a chessboard, and, you know, now we're at the
And
front
that's
desk,
what,
and now we're there in
because
the chair.
like Mrs. Elm is being a little caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh.
All very, you know, kind of talking in riddles, and like
Yeah.
I'm interested in that. Like I
Yeah.
like the fantasy element and how you know, we don't know who this Mrs. Elm is,
Right.
and what she's capable of,
Right.
how much she knows. Like that's what's keeping me interested and hoping that there is more to the story than just Nora being depressed.
And
Yeah.
a light at the end of the tunnel that's going to make her change her ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we're only 82 pages in.
Only
So we have a long ways to go and a lot
No
of
chapter numbers.
growth to do.
Yes.
So there's hope for Nora.
Yeah.
Yes, I do agree with you on that. I like this one that you wrote down. There are no periods after Mrs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I got something too.
So I
Yeah.
read the back cover because I wanted to find out if he was British, and I think he is, but or it's from the UK or something because it doesn't say where he's from back here, and that's all I looked into it.
Yeah.
But the way they say like anything that ends in like eyes, like sympathize or anything is spelled ISE instead of IZE or however we would say it. So I thought maybe he was, you know, from the UK or something. So I just had to make that note. So I was like, why are there no periods after Mrs.?
Yeah.
Is that not something they do over there?
Yeah.
I
I did see that
Everything's
too.
so different over there.
So we talked about her first experience. Dan turned out not to be a good guy. Her second
my God.
experience
Sure.
was the cat, rough
Yeah.
go. The third experience, I really didn't know where we were going until the very end.
Yeah.
But in her real life, what did they call it? Her core life or her starter life, whatever the real one is.
Yeah, I don't
the
remember.
main,
Her core life.
we'll call it Corliss.
I don't know. Anyway, that one. Izzy's still alive, right? She's
Correct.
just in Australia.
Correct.
But in this unfortunate third book, she's
Again.
dead.
With the dead things. I don't understand.
We don't understand the dead things. I think, here's how I looked at it. Because in her core life, her first, you know, her life before she passed on to the Midnight Library, she's the one that dies. And then the
Oh.
next
Right.
one, her parents are still dead, I think. Didn't she mention her parents?
We haven't talked about them yet, I don't think. At least not any changes.
Not in any changes.
Yeah, I think
so
they're
in her
still
main
dead and
line
all
with Dan, everything was kind of fine, still the same. Cat chapter, cat died. Izzy's now dead in the Izzy chapter. I think someone would. I think almost like the whole point is like in each life, each book of regrets, someone is going to pass away. Like it's just a thing type of
think
situation.
she's going to experience loss in any
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
I guess that goes along with what we said about like you can't escape unhappiness.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You can't control all the things and keep everybody safe and
Right.
Or at least that's how I envision all these going. Like something is going to be wrong in every single chapter.
I agree.
I feel like she falls right into the bad part though. Of
Right.
the
yeah,
life.
she gets
like,
stuck on it. Except with the cat, she was able to let go, which was helpful. I think now she has to learn to let go without knowing. Like
Yeah.
she knows why Voltaire died, so she can accept that it wasn't her fault. But she's not going to get that validation or that gratification of
With Izzy.
understanding why everyone makes the choices they make in real life. She's not going to have Mrs. Elm there every time
Right.
to tell her, well, you actually didn't have anything to do with this. She's going to have to trust and like move on herself.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's when she can finally like get out of the libraries, when she can like release some of that.
And I think I do like within Izzy's chapter so far, because we're still in that, or at least that's where we ended. We're still at the like tail end of that, where she finds out that Izzy has passed on. But then her work has called her, and she doesn't know what she works. She finally figured that out.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
which was so funny. She's like, I'm just aimlessly walking around, and I'm like, you probably look like, I'm not going to try to be mean, but an idiot. I'm like, blah, blah.
It was funny.
She
It was
doesn't
like,
know. She can't answer any of the questions, or
No.
doesn't know what's going on in any of the lives, which kind of throws me because why would Mrs. Elm
Put you in a point in
this
your
is
life.
backwards where you don't know what's going on?
Yeah.
Why would they let that happen?
probably my fantasy fiction brain goes probably because none of this matters.
Yeah.
Like once she leaves, like it's like it never happened.
Yeah.
So
And no matter what point she was, if
No
she
matter-
decides to leave,
yeah.
it's not going to matter.
it
Right.
doesn't
Where
matter
she's at.
how many people she confused or what weird things she said.
But I do love how she's starting to realize now, like, okay, like automatically she's swimming. She's like, okay, I was a swimmer. This makes
yeah.
sense. Like, and then she sees a room or a locker key. She's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll go to this locker key to figure out like what I am. And then she's like, oh my gosh, look at these clothes. These aren't the clothes I would wear. Like, what is up with
Yeah.
me in my life
Yeah.
in this life?
It's always a little different.
It's a little different. And I
Yeah.
do appreciate that she's realizing, okay, this life is different. And I think that's compared to the Dan chapter and the Cat chapter.
Oh,
Like Dan's chapter was like, okay, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know what to expect type of situation. Voltaire wasn't a thing that she
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
expecting.
That's
And now
true.
this is like, okay.
this is another kind of left field. She didn't know that this was. She just asked for a life where she went with Izzy, not where Izzy was alive.
Yeah.
Another one of those like,
word
yeah,
Funny weird
plays.
things.
she wasn't specific enough.
But I
Yeah.
think now she's starting to realize, okay, with every life I go into, she's now starting to get the sense like, okay, I'm going to have to learn about myself in this life and get through it
And maybe find the good
and find
in
the
each
good.
life.
Like, oh, maybe I am a little bit happier here.
Yeah.
Also,
You know, I'm a little bit,
interesting. You made me think. There's something different in every life. There's also something the same in every life.
Yeah.
In every life, she mentions her antidepressant pills.
yes.
So is there finally going to become a life at one
Oh.
point where she doesn't need the antidepressant pills?
Right.
And she maybe that's like one of
The
her
life she
like
chooses.
graduations, you know? She
Maybe.
like
Hmm.
finally gets somewhere and doesn't, because they specifically mentioned, like, I know for a fact they say in the Voltaire one, she's like, I saw my antidepressants on the counter, and that was one of the things that made her know that she was like in the right time.
Oh.
And then she mentions them again when she's in the apartment or the flat, whatever she calls
Yeah.
with the roommate.
Yeah.
The really weird
The flatmate.
roommate.
Yes, the flatmate.
The really
So-
weird flatmate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But very
Which
like
we don't really know about.
realization flatmate.
He's like smoking and swearing and,
Yeah.
and like being all weird.
So now I'm gonna be watching for the mention of those pills every time.
And I almost felt like with those pills, at least when she was like in the bathroom when she needed to get away for a second or whatever, she noticed like, okay, I am very different in this life. Like,
Yeah.
I'm taking, regardless if she's doing the fun stuff with her flatmate, which is really weird to say because we're in America.
Yeah.
Flatmate. Did she take a turn like to that side to make her feel better, or is this like, is it almost too much on too much type of situation? Like, if is she taking these medications and having this fun life with her flatmate,
Oh.
that it's too much, and she's
Yeah, we
this
don't know.
completely different person because she
Right.
Also,
sounded like in her weird
yeah.
that text message or whatever to Dan. Was it to Dan that she
From
texted?
I think it's from Dan.
From Dan, and then she replied back like, haha, busy as always, and
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's not how you sounded at all within the first half of your book.
Yeah, and the flatmate makes a comment, something about like, what are you smoking, or do you want something?
Do you want
I
a hit
think.
or something? Yeah.
And she's like, no, that's okay. She like says that she doesn't want any, and the roommate says like, well, that's unusual, right?
Yeah.
So that's not like you or something. So maybe you're right. Maybe they're leading into like where she's like mixing the antidepressants and other things, and,
Yeah.
creating a very different life for a very different reason.
Yeah. Well, and that's how I feel like how she's more carefree is because she has these two things battling against each other, where she's having fun and still trying to take this medication. At least that's how I saw it at the very end. But then now I'm really curious how it's going to be at work, where because the guy's like, where are you? And she's like, oh, wait, like, I'm going to be there, I promise.
Is she even gonna get there? Because I
She gonna get
feel
lost?
I feel like we're 3 lives in, And I feel like she just bing bang boom, like
She leaves right away.
She did
she
duck
can
out.
just just go.
Quick.
So like how many lives is she going to go through, and how many things is she going to experience?
I feel like she's going to stick with this one for a while, just to see how the work is,
Yeah.
or to see why she stuck around even after Izzy has passed.
Okay.
I mean,
'Cause it's
that
been
is
a
interesting,
while.
because that's a pretty traumatic thing after she's experienced these other bad newses.
Yeah.
To find out that the best friend you thought you were gonna go experience a life with is dead in that life too. Like, I feel like that would have sent
And
me
like
back.
who is this flatmate? Who
Maybe
you
the
know?
sheer curiosity is keeping her around.
Yeah.
She wants to know, how did I make it, and who are these people?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of like at this point, I'm like, now, because where we stopped is like, oh, I gotta go to this job now.
Yeah.
Where she finally figured out where she works and the address she's going to. So I don't know if she's gonna make it there, but we'll find
Yeah,
out.
we don't know her mode of transport or anything.
But now that's making me want to stick with the book. And I stopped and I was like, I'm on page 82 now.
Yeah.
I just need to know,
Yeah.
does she make it
Yeah.
I
to
like
work or does she leave?
that we've started looking at the lives, because now it's like interesting to me, because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, pick another one, pick another one, pick another one.
What's this one gonna be like?
But I
There's
want
suspense.
something. Yeah.
You want a happy life.
Yeah.
But it,
It is really, if she keeps leaving them this fast,
yeah.
and they're all bad, it's gonna be a rough go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's gonna end up dead in the end.
I guess.
I wonder.
That's a possibility.
Okay, now maybe I don't know if I remember or not. She's in between life and death. What if she chooses death? How does she get there? There's so many
I think
lives.
they
There's an
said-
affinity of lives. So even if she went through all of them, there's still more because there's an infinity.
I think they said in there, like in the beginning, that she could still choose to die.
Right. But did they say how she gets that way?
But the way they made it sound, at
Probably,
least
but I don't
Mrs.
know.
Elm made it sound, was that you can try all your regrets here. You don't have to stay. You can stay in this life and pass on, or you can stick around in these lives. But it's almost like a
Yes.
your choice type of situation.
Yeah.
And that's how I took it as, is that like, okay, you can experience all these lives and decide. And I feel like that's when I say, I'm like, she's going to go back to her normal life because she's not going to
Yeah.
be happy with any of these other lives.
But she could just decide to die. She could
Yeah.
give up her core life too, or whatever they called it, and
Yeah.
and just be done.
And maybe I just don't remember.
I don't
Did
remember
they
how,
say-
but I feel like they did
Yeah.
stipulate.
They
for
did
that.
say, either or, but
Right.
okay, maybe we'll find out.
Anyway,
Yep.
so I think that's about all we have time for.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts you want to impart?
Now, okay, coming into this, I was like, oh, no, I cannot do this book. I don't want to read it. It's weird. But now that we've talked about it, I'm like, all right, I might go home and read tonight instead of waiting until tomorrow
Until the
just to see, or
Just to
maybe
see
the
what-
next day. I don't know.
yeah.
Just to see what happens,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
do.
that's good.
I feel like at first, like you said, like it's intense.
Oh,
Like,
very
when
intense.
When you first read it, I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Because this is very real right now, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People-
are going through stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
You
all
know,
we'll say.
Yeah, mental health is a very serious subject that
Yeah.
many people don't talk about.
And I
Yeah.
feel like maybe there's just something for everybody in it.
Yeah.
Because like
That's
you
what it
connected
sounds
with,
like.
I connected so hard with the stupid cat.
Yeah.
I was like, that situation is so exactly what I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I was like pulled in it a little bit. So
Yeah.
I mean, this author has a knack for like picking out a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Yeah.
think we're all like, oh, I can identify with maybe not everything, but this portion,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I want her to be okay because I
I
don't
know,
want
me
what I
too.
want.
I can't have
Yeah.
death.
Well, and that's what I think, like, my main theory for now, my theory might change by the next time. Last time we did this, I had so many theories.
We had lots of theories. All of us had lots of
Comes
theories.
with the territory.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory. And I just have a feeling she's going to go back to this core life.
Yeah. I
Because
think
she
so.
has learned the lesson that like you said, no life is perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's going to end up. And
And
she's
you-
going to change something or go back to a point in her core life to make those changes.
I think
She might
she's
learn
gonna.
along the way.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna go back. This is what I guess I want to happen. Not
Yes.
necessarily what I think is going to happen. That she goes back to her core life and accepts the bad and moves
Yeah.
forward. Doesn't change anything because it doesn't help.
Right.
And she'll just acknowledge that like there's gonna be good and there's gonna be bad and I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah.
Because she's learned stuff and she's stronger. I hope
It's
it's
not the other way.
happy.
Yeah.
I guess that's a hope. Maybe that's a hope that I have. I don't really have any theories, I guess, right now, because I just don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to know this early.
Only 82 pages in with no chapter titles. Well, chapter
pages.
numbers.
But
All right. Well,
very nice.
we'll see in part 2 what we think. And if you want to read along, part 2 is going to be pages 83 through 156. So if you're following along and you want to catch up and read to that point so that you know as much as we do, go for it. You can borrow your own copy by requesting it from us here at the library. It's on Access 360, our ebook app in audio and regular ebook. So, or you can get them on Amazon like we did.
We love Amazon.
That's it for today. Please like and subscribe, and like we said, fill up those comments down below with your thoughts if you've read this book or are reading it along with us, and tell us what you think. Check out our second podcast, Off the Clock Library Talk, that Miss Nina runs. We talk about a lot of random fun things in that podcast. It's just kind of a get-together chat, and you'll get to learn a little bit more about us. So comment below, stop by, and most of all, keep reading. See you next time.
Bye.
We'll be chatting.
Cut.
Moving on.
Where were we on? The cat?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we were on the cat.
We don't know where we left off, but we're picking up here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's me again. Sorry.
do it
I got jumpy legs.
jumpy leg.
After 3 lives, that we've seen. Oh my god, I just scratched my face. Sorry, guys.
Come to the
Edit
library.
that out.
We miss you.
Comment below, stop by, and most of all, keep reading. And we'll see you next time.
You might want to say that last part again, because
What part?
once you started, I was like this. So if you're gonna cut that out,
Okay,
I
fine,
don't know.
fine. Okay.
Yeah, like comment. I don't know. Yeah.
I'll start there. All right.